Anyone who knows me knows that I am definitely an astrology hoe. Oh my gosh, I have been into astrology ever since I was a kid. And I don't think that's anything surprising. I was an only child who felt incredibly alienated from society because I felt so different from everybody around me. So, yeah, of course, I was searching for answers to help me better understand myself because I never really felt like anyone else took the time or energy to try and understand me. So, astrology was that for me. And as an adult, I am definitely that person. I am going to ask you what your sign is upon meeting you. I'm going to want to dive into your cosmic blueprint, and not for any other reason than curiosity. I think sometimes it gets this flack of trying to be a way to bypass actually getting to know a person. And my intention has always been using it as a resource to know people deeper. Whether that's an LA cliche or not, I don't really give a shit, to be honest. Everyone has their idea of astrology, and that's perfectly fine. For me, it would be absolutely ignorant to dismiss the role it's played in my life. There is a very significant transit that happens to everybody, whether you, quote, believe in astrology, which I've already spoken about how I don't think it's a belief system, but we could talk about that another time. And that transit is your Saturn return. Anytime there's a return, it basically means that the planet or celestial body has returned to the sign that is the placement within your natal chart, your birth chart. So, for example, my Saturn is in Sagittarius and in the 12th house, mind you. So, fellow astrologers already know. But that would mean that my Saturn return happened when Saturn was moving through the constellation of Sagittarius. And it's a slower transit. Saturn moves through each constellation. I mean, it takes about like 3-ish years. And to go through the entire zodiac, it's about, 28-ish to 30 years. So people tend to experience their Saturn return around 28 years old. That's the beginning of it. And then every sort of 28-ish years. Mind you, Saturn is a very significant ruler, I guess you would say, within my chart and therefore my life. As a Capricorn rising as well, Saturn is my chart ruler, and I have a lot of Capricorn placements as well as Aquarius placements. So that also puts Saturn sort of at the forefront of my experience. And it's been challenging, to say the least. Anyone who understands the energy of Saturn knows that Saturn doesn't play, okay? Saturn is that tough love former war general grandfather who sees your potential, who sees what's possible for you, and refuses to play into whatever pity party you've created for yourself. Saturn is the energy of showing you what you're made of, showing you what you're capable of, but not necessarily in a gentle way. Saturn is not going to cradle you and tell you, you can do this. Saturn is going to throw you in it and watch you to see if your grit, if your determination, if your resilience will finally wake up and push you to where you need to go. For that reason, Saturn is also a great rewarder for those who do work hard, who don't shy away from the hard stuff, who aren't afraid of facing themselves. Saturn is the lord of time, the god of karma, and so it carries a lot of weight. My Saturn return. Oh my goodness. My Saturn return started around like 2015, 2016. And anyone who knows about Saturn returns, it's notorious for creating huge life changes. The type of life changes that other people may think you're crazy for doing, but it's really like revealing your innermost desires, your innermost self. And my Saturn return was nothing short of that. At the time, I was working for E! News, a job that was very stable and secure and ego stroking, to say the least. I ended up quitting after nearly 10 years of working with that company. For what, you ask? I had no job lined up. Nope, not at all. And that was like, listen, I already told y'all guys, I have a Capricorn stellium. I am a Taurus moon. I am earthy as fuck. Like, I love stability. I crave it. I get hard for it, okay? Stability, security, safety, making sure like my bills are all paid for, rent is fine, everything is good, money's coming in, I know when it's coming, I know how much is coming. All of that just like tickles my fancy. And yet, during this Saturn return, I quit my job to freelance, which I never thought I would do. Never, ever, ever. Because I had friends who freelanced and I would watch them and I would literally tell them, I don't know how you do this. How do you go every month not knowing if you're going to make enough money to survive? And yet here I was. But of course, Saturn wasn't just about to have me quit my job and go rogue into the unknown. I also had not one, but 2 surgeries on my tailbone, which was because of a cyst, an ongoing cyst from high school that kept coming and going. And now, given the education and the awareness and knowledge that I've gained, I know that cyst was a physical manifestation of the imbalance I was holding in my root chakra, which is the chakra of safety, security, stability, and feeling like you have a right to be here. The root chakra is the foundation of the chakra system, and it deals with your physical presence in this world. And it starts forming in the womb. Well, let me remind you or share with you for the first time, if you didn't know this, that I am an immigrant from Lebanon who came to this country not by choice, but because I had to with my family because of the war. The war trauma fucked with my root chakra energy in ways that I can't even begin to explain because I'm still working through that. And it formed into a very painful cyst that would come and go throughout high school and then throughout my life until finally during my Saturn return, it got to a point where I couldn't even stand it. It used to be an internal cyst. It now became external and I had to have emergency surgery, which led to having to do a second surgery because it came back again, and doing a process that required me to leave this gaping hole on my tailbone open for 6 weeks in order for it to heal naturally. Now, what that meant was I couldn't walk, I couldn't drive, I couldn't lay down, I couldn't do anything for myself. So here I was, someone who struggled to ask for help all the time, being completely helpless and depending on everyone around me to help me do the most simple things, to help me function. I had friends drive me to run errands. I had friends who had to come over and change my gauze and my packed up gaping hole. Like, it was intense. I couldn't shower by myself. I couldn't make myself a meal. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything. And at the same time, while this was happening, I had a stalker who, over the course of a few months, was emailing me 30 times a day, sending me pictures of myself back to me, and creating a dialogue that was realistically a one-way dialogue, but he wrote as if there was someone communicating back to him, which frightened me. It frightened me. Police had to get involved. Threat management had to get involved. The LAPD had to get involved because this man decided that he wanted to come to LA and be with me. And I'm over here getting cauterized on the doctor's table, worrying about a stranger who I don't know, who somehow has made himself believe that he's in a relationship with me, say that he is going to come to LA to be with me. And you might think, well, Bruna, people say all kinds of things. Yeah, I was hoping that was the case until security was able to confirm that he was on a flight to LA. The amount of terror, the amount of I still get emotional about it because no one takes this shit seriously. Things like that steal your peace in a way that I can't even describe. And as someone whose life was already risked just to be here, to then have to deal with shit like that, it's a different kind of rage. It's a different kind of anger. And you constantly wonder, like, who is protecting me? Luckily, the LAPD, a very specific detective, helped me. A Black woman. She's the one that helped me. She's the one that took me seriously. And she's the one that took on my file. A file that had to be an annoying email report. Because when I went to the police to tell them this man just said he's going to come and find me, a trip to the police that a friend had to take me because, again, I couldn't drive. I couldn't walk by myself. I was still healing. This old white man behind the counter at the police station had the audacity to look at me and say, well, maybe he just wants to give you a hug and a kiss. Bitch, what? Oh my God. Oh my God. There are moments when I know something greater than me takes over because despite my physical ailments, everything in me wanted to lunge at this man and rip him apart. Maybe he wants to give me a hug and a kiss. I don't give a fuck what this person wants to do. And why the fuck do you think I want that? I don't know this man. But of course, they're not going to do shit about it because they won't unless something is already happening or if a physical threat has been clearly stated. So whatever, I'll fill out your fucking annoying email report because we're putting this down in paper. And thank God I did, because the day that he was flying into LA was the day I went back to the police station and was the day that the detective, which I'm not sure I can say her name, so I'm going to leave it out, came out with my file and said, I was just about to call you because I just picked up your file. And I was like, well, girl, let's get into it because it's happening right now. I had to alert my friends. I had to alert my family. I had to alert my neighbors. I had to stay in a hotel. I had to watch over my back, all while still healing physically. And that's why I have such a love-hate relationship with social media. Because at the same time, social media has helped me create community in ways that I've never been able to do. Help me connect, help me get opportunities and showcase myself in a way that was never possible before. And it has introduced me to some of the scariest moments in my life. It has made me fear my life. It has made me want to run into a hole and hide. Because it didn't matter how much my writing resonated with people. It didn't matter the lessons and the gifts that I was able to share. All it took was one person to take it too far for me to be like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Not if this is what happens. To me, it just wasn't worth it. And I gotta tell you, throughout my life, I've had multiple moments of wishing that I was okay with a regular, degular, mediocre existence. But I wasn't. And that wasn't all, you know, my Saturn return had all of that on top of someone trying to follow me into my apartment in the middle of the night, an actual break-in in another apartment, multiple heartbreaks, betrayal from friends, friendship breakups, a reckoning with my father more than once, struggling financially because I no longer have my stable job. I'm not even able to maintain the lifestyle that I created for myself. And also releasing my first book. Putting myself out there in a way that I never thought I would. Being vulnerable. Starting yoga. Becoming curious about the spiritual aspect of life in a way that was deeper than before. Going to my first ever sound bath, having past life visions, seeing things in my actual reality that I couldn't explain. I felt like I was going fucking crazy. All of this was happening within the course of a couple years. And given that, again, Saturn is in my 12th house, in Sag, my Saturn return was a deep dive into my subconscious. It was a self-undoing. It was a very long dark night of the soul. It was getting into the crevices of my psyche. It was intense, to say the least. So yeah, you can say what you want about astrology, but my life experience has shown me what it is. Those years challenged any morsel of security, stability, or safety that I had, which again wasn't much to begin with as an immigrant with war trauma. Still, I can't deny that my experience put me in a position to fight for my life in a way that I'd never been in before. I needed to fight for myself. I needed to fight to be here. Saturn said, "How bad do you want this?" and threw me in the middle of the fucking ocean during a storm with no life vest. There was no, "Hey, help me out." It was sink or swim. How bad do you want this? Who are you? That's what Saturn did to me. It threw me to the fucking wolves. It said, "Oh, you're scared? Oh, you don't feel safe? Here, watch this." And it put me in multiple positions. Not one, not two, not three, not five, not 10, but multiple positions over the course of a few years where I had to fight for my right to be here. How bad do you want this? Well, you know what I found out? I want this shit real bad. I want this shit real bad. And I'm not talking about money or a job title or a relationship or marriage or whatever the fuck else society keeps deeming as the be all end all of your experience here. I'm talking about life. I realized I want to live real bad. And that was surprising to learn because I often felt the opposite. And I'm not going to say that that stopped then and there. That's still a continuous fight. Because there are many, many reasons that I could point to that would promote my desire to just see what else is there. What's next? This is hard. I'm tired. I have nothing else to give. But I didn't come this far to only come this far. And regardless of how exhausted, regardless of how much I have put myself through, how much I have experienced, how many nights I have cried and yelled and shaken and cursed the world for this experience, there's something in me that won't quit. It just won't quit, no matter what. And life has a beautiful way of doing that, bringing you to your knees. It humbles you. It shows you yourself. It reveals hidden truths. It reminds you that while you've been distracted by all of these external things and validations and check marks and whatever else, the journey was always happening internally. And that's the journey that matters. I had every excuse to give up, and I wanted to so bad many times. but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. There was just always this deep knowing that the best days of my life haven't even happened yet. There is something or someone or a few, I don't know, calling me, waiting, reminding me, you cannot throw in the towel now. This is still here waiting for you. You cannot give up now. I'm stubborn as fuck, y'all. I'm really stubborn. Shout out to Taurus Moon. And sometimes that stubbornness works against me. But in things like this, my stubbornness works for me. Because I give all of myself to this life. I go all in all the time. Whether it's suffering and sorrow or joy and bliss, I'm giving it all of me. I will give all of myself to the suffering. I will feel everything that it has to give me. And the fact that I am still here means something. I give all of myself to the joy, to the love, to the bliss. And those are the moments where I just say to myself, man, I wish I could just pause this moment really quick. Just savor it and be in it. I wish I could bottle this up and take a little bit in those moments of suffering and sorrow to remember that this is also an option. This is also available. I always say the good and bad news about life is that everything is temporary. Whether it's a moment like that you wish you could just press pause and live in forever. Unfortunately, it's temporary. Or moments of fear, when you wonder if you're ever going to see the other side. You remember it's temporary. Nothing lasts forever. Except for you. Your essence, your being, your spirit, that lasts forever. But its experience as who you are right now in this life does not. And if the first 35 years of being Bruna has taught me anything, it's that miracles definitely happen. And if I wasn't meant to be here, I wouldn't be here. There were plenty of opportunities for me to not be here. And even though Saturn has continuously ripped me away from any sort of safety, security, or stability that I was clinging on to, what it ultimately showed me is you're protected. How would you know that if you never faced adversity? My life was on the line multiple times, and yet here I am. Angels all around you, the ones that you would never guess. We always talk about it like it's high up in the heavens, far away, and I don't believe that. I just don't. Everyone's among us. My angels are the people in my life, whether that's dear friends or strangers who just happen to be at the right place at the right time to help me, to show me, to remind me. The amount of times I have just been living my life and someone on the street stops me to just tell me something. One sentence, and then they go on their way, and I'm like, yo, that was not. No. No. Like, no, you can't tell me. You can't tell me that everything is by chance. That's why I have maktub tattooed on my rib. It is written. It is written. When you believe in something so much that the universe conspires to help you achieve it, it is written. And I remember. I know what's written. That's why I won't settle for anything less than what I know is there for me. And it's okay if no one else understands that. It's okay if no one else can fathom why I move the way I move or live the life I do. It's not your life. It's not your life to live. It's very easy to pass judgment from where you're sitting, but you're not the one that has to deal with the consequences of the choices and decisions that I make. So yes, excuse me if my choices and decisions do not align with what you would like for me. I'm more worried about what I experience in my life, not how you feel about it. And even that has been a very hard thing to do. But I made that promise to myself after all of those experiences. I made a promise to myself that I would show up. I may not always show up at 100, but I don't give a shit. I'm showing up and I'm giving myself all that I have. I'm giving Bruna all that I have. Because I've seen my greatest fears happen. I've been in vulnerable positions that made me face my fears. And I lived through it. I survived it. So why would I keep giving fear the driver's seat? You've shown me where you can go, and I've shown myself that I'm still not going to get out of the car. So maybe we need a different driver. Because I'm tired. I'm tired of this same ride. I know where it's going. I know what I'll do. And I've gotten to a point where I don't love stability so much that I would rather hold on to that false sense of security. I'm okay with a different driver that's going to take me somewhere new. I'm okay with seeing different views, taking different roads, different pit stops, different conversations, different music, different company. I'm ready for that. I deserve that. So, yeah, Saturn beat my ass multiple times. But the gift he gave me was peace, unshakable, rooted, grounded peace, because it comes from me. It is sourced internally. And that's why I am so fucking protective of it. That's why I'm willing to lose anyone and anything to maintain it. What I have gone through in order to even feel peace, let alone sustain it, is remarkable. It's remarkable. So no, I'm not going to just give it away. And no, I'm not just going to let anyone come in and destroy it. I've worked too hard. I've worked too hard. And I always laugh when people sit with me or meet me, do a session with me, and they always tell me, "You're so calming. You bring so much peace. You're my peace." I'm like, You have no idea the wars I fought to feel this peace and to be this calm. I earned this. You're not just going to take it from me. I am happy to share it with you, but it stays with me. And I'm happy to help you find yours so that you don't keep starving for it and trying to take it from other people. It's yours. It's in you. But you're going to have to fight to get it. It's not something that's just handed over. The way I am able to hold myself and hold others, the way I am able to be loving and compassionate, empathetic and understanding, the way I'm able to alchemize the energy in a space so that you feel the safest you've ever been. That doesn't just happen. I had to put myself through the fire and cleanse to be able to do that. It's real. I did that. And you can too. It's just going to require everything from you. And not everyone's willing to pay that price. It's a hefty tag, I can't deny that, but I don't know. The cost of not having it seems way worse. So while all of these experiences have introduced me to moments of my life I sometimes wish I could forget, it helped shape me into who I am. It broke down walls I didn't even know existed. It revealed strength I didn't even know I had, and I wouldn't have known otherwise. But I know now. I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. That's liberation. That's a gift not many are willing to give themselves. I did that.